All right, let's talk some ball, man, and let's talk Trevor Lawrence because that's the guy. That's the topic. Where do you sit on Trevor after 3 years?
You know, we always say 3 years, but it's really like 2 years, right? Because you feel like he kind of lost his first year with Urban Meyer. Where am I with Trevor Lawrence? The guy has shown great glimpses. He's had signature plays, but he's also had some mistakes where it's just like, man, what are you doing? That's not what we expected from you. So it's definitely a roller coaster right now of emotions when dealing with Trevor Lawrence. Granted, some interceptions, not his fault, but the ball security has to be better.
Yeah, I think the big thing that we go back to, in my opinion, I love Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the guy. I think he's going to be here for a long time. I think he's a really good football player. I think he has to trust stuff around him more, and I think he has to not try to do too much when stuff starts going bad. I think, which is just a human instinct, especially when a guy who's been able to do almost anything he wants to do and lead the way ever since he started playing football, right? I mean, he's been so accomplished. But in this game, you got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him, man. You got to take your penalties, and don't make a bogey into a double bogey is the way I say it. And I think he does that too much. That's where the fumbles come in. The interceptions don't concern me. You're seeing balls go off guys' hands, plays that should be caught. If you throw the ball 600 times, you're going to have some unlucky plays or throw it to the other team on occasion. He has to get rid of the fumbles. And I'm not sure that's a ball security thing more than a decision thing, because a lot of his fumbles come when he's being tackled and going to the ground or trying to avoid a sack. And sure, you could say the offensive line, but the bottom line is there's pressure in the NFL on every quarterback. I think he's got to start watching. If I was the Jags, I'd be showing him tape of Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Guys like that get down and just be like, okay, and get pissed, by the way, when they have to punt the ball away, but at least they didn't turn it over or do something that costs 10, 12, 15 yards, get you out of field goal range.
And that's really been the MO, I feel like, the past few years of Trevor Lawrence, is the fact that, maybe it's a tip ball here that wasn't his fault that gets intercepted, or maybe it's just a drop pass, maybe it's a fumble from the running back position, and those things happen, and then he almost plays outside of himself to try to make up for those plays, and then it snowballs into an effect of, more and more mistakes, and that's kind of been the MO so far. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, if the players around him can ease up on the mistakes a little bit more on the drop balls, that only gives Trevor Lawrence more confidence. But Brent, we've seen this story so many times here in Jacksonville. I mean, I played with Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert was a guy, when he first came in, I thought had all the talent in the world. Like the way the guy threw the ball in OTAs and everything, it was just like kind of made your jaw drop. But then, gets thrown in a little too early, in my opinion, couldn't handle the fire, and it really put him on a career trajectory of just the fact that he wasn't ready to play.
Yeah, back in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, and back in the Super Bowl again. Yeah, two-time Super Bowl champion Blaine Gabbert now. But it really showed just the fact that when some guys aren't ready or their confidence is hurt, it's hard to get that confidence back.
Listen, and that's part of it. That's part of the story here, and I know it's a distant past, but that was how this started for Trevor Lawrence with Urban Meyer. He put him in a tough spot. The organization ended up putting him in a tough spot. They didn't know at the time or think at the time they were, but they were. And Doug has pulled him out of that. And then the injuries. I mean, we can't just ignore the injuries. Just much like the hero ball, maybe he played in games where he shouldn't have played. And when you're not playing 100% or 80% or 70%, you do things maybe you shouldn't be doing. But the bottom line is he was pretty banged up down the stretch. I'm not saying you give him a pass for that, but you have to acknowledge that. So there's a lot going on. I'll ask you this in just a bit. And would you pay him now, or do you now sit and wait and say, prove it? I'm interested to get your thoughts on that in just a moment. We had a chance this weekend at the Pro Bowl on Saturday to catch up with Peyton Manning. Now, Peyton Manning's coaching the Pro Bowl, and obviously Trevor Lawrence is it's his idol. Peyton Manning. He played last year in the Pro Bowl for him in the flag football stuff. Well, he had the opportunity again to play this time around, and he said, nah, I'm going to hang back. And I want to ask you a bit why he would do that. Should he do that? But first, let's hear from Peyton Manning.
Trevor has had ups and downs early in his career, but you did too. When did you kind of figure it out, do you think?
Yeah, look, I had plenty of ups and downs, and there's no guarantee that just because you had a good, first or second year, that means it's going to be good the next year, right? I had a bad rookie year, kind of a good second year, good third year, kind of an off fourth year. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. I think Trevor knows that. Look, he's an extremely hard worker. Obviously, I know Jacksonville wants to keep him healthy because it's a difference when he's not in the starting lineup. Talked to him this week, trying to maybe see if he was going to come down once Lamar was unable to play, and just couldn't kind of a late notice thing for him. But he's great. I love watching him play, and But Jacksonville's going to be in the mix next year without a doubt, I think, because he's determined. I know they're frustrated with the way they finished and competitive guys, so watch out for the Jaguars next year.
Watch out for the Jaguars next year. That feels pretty good, doesn't it, for the Jags? And that's Peyton Manning had a chance to catch up with him, and that was a pretty cool response, actually, from Peyton. He shed a lot of light. You know, they don't announce when guys turn down the opportunity to play. Now, sometimes the word gets out. And we thought with Minshew going to the Pro Bowl that a guy like Josh Allen, of course, would have probably been a top target, and Trevor even probably next before Minshew. And good for Minshew to be able to go. So I wonder this. Should he have gone? And the reason I say it is more post-career. That's what I'm thinking of. We got a guy in Fred Taylor that didn't get to the Pro Bowl much, and we thought he got snubbed and might be part of the reason it's going to hang up him getting to Canton, Ohio. And I know that's way down the road, and that seems kind of crazy to talk about, but how important is it to get the notches in the belt and the accolades if you're Trevor early in your career and start building that?
Yeah, so it's wild because, like, as a kid growing up and even, like, through, like, my high school years, it always seemed to me like the Pro Bowl was an honor, right? To get elected to a Pro Bowl, like, you know, that's a huge thing you can put on your resume. And it seems like these past couple of years, it's kind of fallen by the wayside and turned into more of like a popularity contest. And, you know, people want to put a lot more stake into the All-Pro awards, which I agree with. I mean, I think if you're an All-Pro in the NFL, yeah, you're doing something right.
Yeah, that's a heck of an award, by the way.
Correct. Now, I'm not sure in terms of contracts and in terms of, you know, they call them the escalators in terms of the bonuses. You know, if you make a Pro Bowl, you get a certain bonus in your contract. I'm not sure if players still have that ingrained. But I just think from Trevor's perspective, it's really just a glorified who's who. And, you know, obviously coming off a very disappointing season, not ending it the right way, dude probably just wanted some time to himself. So I'm not questioning Trevor Lawrence not being there, not being in the spotlight, not being around other players, man. Like, if you just want some time to yourself to decompress, I'm all for that.
Listen, I kind of think it shows you more of who he is in a way. And I'm not saying he's the only guy that would turn this down. There are people that turn it down, especially as you get further and further down your career. But I do think the accolades and the awards and other things like that can be important in contract negotiations or whatever else. Nobody asks David Garrard or others down the road, like when they made the Pro Bowl, how they made the Pro Bowl. They say they're Pro Bowlers, right? Minshew's going to be a Pro Bowler. They're not going to say, hey, were you the seventh alternate? Tyler Huntley's going to be able to say he's a Pro Bowler. I know a little bit of it can be goofy, but the bottom line is I do think it's important to build the resume, especially early in your career, because you really start knocking things off. I mean, we've seen it with a guy like Calais Campbell. I mean, he's really crafted a heck of a resume, not just because of his play, but because of his off-the-field honors, Pro Bowls, All-Pros, other things. And that's going to make a case for him, all of that compilation, to get to Canton, Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking about, you know, a defensive lineman like Calais Campbell. Yes, I think the Pro Bowls do mean something. I think if you're talking about the quarterback position, you're sitting down with the GM, maybe signing with a new team or trying to re-up on a contract. I mean, I think, hey, how many Pro Bowls have you went to is down on the list. It's, hey, how many games have you won? How many touchdowns have you thrown? How many interceptions have you thrown? What do your teammates say about you? Things like that. I think down the line, you can talk about Pro Bowls and everything, but I just think it's on such a low tier list of the importance of what GMs and you know, executives look for in trying to bring a quarterback into their team.
Okay, so this is why I like it. And you know me, you make fun of me in front of the mic. Him, not me in front of the mic, but him. Well, you might make fun of me in front of the mic too. But him, and I love what he says. Like, I thought he was the face of the franchise during Urban. I still think he has the pulse of the fan base better than anybody in the building that talks in front of a microphone. I think he gets it. I think maybe because he sees some of it, maybe because he hears some of it, but I think he understands it. One of the beautiful things about Trevor is he understands his role in Jacksonville specific to maybe if he was with another franchise. He understands what it means, he means to this city, this area of the country, this franchise, everything else. But what I find pretty cool about what he did here is he probably in his mind is like, I'm not deserving of this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm better than what I played, how we finished. And, like, I shouldn't even go there. And I'm not going to go and pretend like I'm amongst the elite this year if I wasn't or if I'm not. And plus, I don't feel like dealing with the noise of how this all ended. I'm not going to go he's probably still pissed off about how it all ended, right? And get healthy. And I think there's a big part of that. Is my guess is, where is he in his health? He didn't need any surgeries, but he obviously got really dinged up. So I like what you said. The word decompression, that's a big one for these guys. It's a lot. It's a lot for the fans. A lot for everybody who's around it, especially in this town where it's just go, go, go all the time on the Jags. So I like the decompression part of this. Also, he's going to get all of it this week at the Super Bowl. He's going there. He's got obviously a bunch of endorsements and business deals. Yeah. He will be in Vegas. We've seen him there before, and we've chased him around last year in Arizona. So he'll have that. And then he's going to like a vacation after he had planned before he starts getting back into the fold. So I kind of like what he did here. I think it actually says a lot about him, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I think we know Trevor pretty well, and my guess is like he in part felt all those other reasons, but I didn't earn this time around.
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence would be the first one to say that he probably underachieved this year, right? And like, I mean, you know, if I'm Tyler Huntley and I get that phone call, oh yeah, let's go. Like, this is my Super Bowl right here. Is like, you know, I'm going to play in the Pro Bowl. I'm going to go all out because Tyler Huntley going was a shock to obviously everybody. And Brent, you brought up a really great point about Trevor Lawrence and how he's represented himself, this team, and really the city of Jacksonville, kind of anywhere he goes, right? I mean, it's definitely a guy that you want to tie your wagon to and just be like, hey man, we're going to ride and die with you to the end. There was one thing that took place this past season that I haven't really had a chance to talk about yet, haven't had the platform, that did irk me the wrong way a little bit of how he maybe handled his image. And I want to
guess.
Please.
The Twitter.
Correct.
The post.
Correct.
The taking notes.
Correct.
I think that one. He had a couple of them.
He had a couple of them, but to me, it was the taking notes. And I forgot exactly where it came from, of who said something. It was, you know, one of these.
I think it was after San Francisco, maybe.
Yeah, but I forgot like who tweeted something out, and then Trevor had a response to that.
I think it was a lot like the Nick Wright stuff, who always goes to battle for him, I think, on Fox.
Okay.
And then the other guys, or maybe it was like the show out of New York. Sure. We were doing all these things like, yeah, whatever type of stuff, but they were hitting him pretty hard, like Trevor, whatever. He's just an average guy. And some people around here say that too. We don't agree with it, but he noticed.
No, he definitely noticed, you know, and listen, I understand, and I've been out of the game for a while now in terms of, you know, being in an NFL locker room. I know the dynamics and the players' mindsets have changed. But there's still a double standard when you talk about the quarterback in the NFL locker room and another player in the locker room. And I think that if you're Trevor Lawrence and you start to acknowledge that, hey, I see what you're saying about me. And let's be honest, Brent, everybody sees what they're saying about them,
they
right?
Do.
It's Twitter.
You can't hide that anymore.
It's at your fingertips.
When you played, you could say, I don't read the articles. I don't do this.
Exactly.
When you played, and that's just 2010, by the way. You can't say that anymore.
Vito was saying, what about me? I don't know. I didn't really see it, man. I didn't read a newspaper. Couldn't tell. It's all good. He wasn't really on Twitter, so who cares? But nowadays, yes, everybody can see what people say about you. And I get it. Trevor Lawrence saw that. But when you acknowledge it, it shows that it's getting to you a little bit. And I think when you kind of have that mindset of, oh, this is getting to me, this is bothering me, I'm trying to prove you wrong, now you're putting energy into places where it doesn't need to go. Who cares what some dude in New York said? Who cares what, you know, some guy in Fox, whatever the case may be, said? Just do your thing, man. Just focus your energy at the task at hand. I think when you start focusing energy on the outside forces, especially as a leader and as a quarterback, that can affect your play. That can affect how your team perceives you a little bit. So that was the only issue that I had with Trevor Lawrence all year in terms of his off-the-field stuff was, you know, acknowledging that he sees some of the negative feedback and it's bothering him.
I like what you said there, and I kind of agree, especially. See, that goes twofold now. If he goes on a run like he did last year after tweeting that, we're like, oh, he's got some kahunas, man. You know, this, that, we love him, blah, 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 blah. But when it fails, it doesn't look as good.
Correct.
Right? And actually, I think after the San Fran game when he did that, he actually played very well against Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And then Houston. They beat Houston. So Tennessee, Houston, I think that's the timetable. It happened a couple of different times, but I think that was the timetable. And one of the times he did it on a 5-game win streak, too, when he said he's keeping receipts.
Yeah.
I think it was. But here's the part I like about it. He's still young. Yeah, Richard Sherman, by the way, in the Post, so we were saying. He was the one that said he's not a franchise guy, so that was part of it.
Yeah.
But it shows that he is still young. Mm-hmm. Like, I applaud him for so many things, but I kind of agree with you. I don't like it is a different deal. You're the CEO, dismiss it, let the guys that rush the passer or pick off passes or catch touchdowns for a living. Let Calvin Ridley do that.
Correct.
And it's okay, right? Let ETN do that, and it's fun, kind of fun and okay. Probably not. You think they say that inside the organization?
I mean, it's got to be preached on a little bit, right? Because you see even like these other quarterbacks in the NFL, you don't see too much of it. And I mean, once again, I'm not keen to every single quarterback tweeting what they tweet every single day, but I gotta say, like, I'm sure someone sat Trevor down and said, "Hey, man, don't worry about that. Let's just focus on the task at hand. We have Tennessee this week, we have Houston this week. Don't care what they say. It's going to be all right." At least that's what I would tell them. And once again, it is a double standard, Brent, right? You can have a wide receiver. You can have Calvin Ridley say whatever he wants to say. But I just feel like when you're the CEO, when you're the quarterback, like you never saw Peyton Manning doing that. You never saw, Tom Brady doing that.
Yeah.
Now, towards the end,
Brady started to do some
Brady
stuff.
towards the end of Tampa, because I just felt like he was on the back nine and he was just having a good time.
His
right?
Facebook videos, or the hype videos.
The one with Gronkowski's walking through the tunnel just kind of smiling or whatever. Like, towards the end you can have fun. But
I get it.
But especially like in the infancy of your career, like Trevor Lawrence, yeah, man, just keep your head down, keep doing your thing, and don't worry about the outside influences.
All right, before we go to break, would you pay him? Would you pay him right now, or do you have to wait?
I'm paying him right now because the way I see,
surprising me. I mean,
that. Number one, I think it comes at a discount right now. But number two, everything points to he's got to be the guy going forward. You don't want to restart this whole process over again. Jacksonville doesn't want to restart this whole process over again. Sometimes teams can luck into a quarterback, a la Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Sometimes teams, they suck for a lot of years and they get their guy. And sometimes, kind of like the Jaguars, hopefully, let's be honest, but and everything in between. But at the end of the day, yes, I can confidently say that Trevor Lawrence has to be the guy going forward. And if that's the case, you shore him up right now and then do what it takes to build around him and see what he's got.
Listen, the bottom line is Trevor's only 24 years old still, and he's already done good things here in Jacksonville, and I think we've seen it. I agree with you. I'd pay him tomorrow and not lose sleep over it. I don't think they're going to, but I think I would. Yeah. And I will say this, I disagree with everybody who says it's going to be a discount. I think it's market value, and that's maybe the hesitation, because I don't think you're getting like the Baker Mayfield $40 million, or maybe you can go 45 on another guy or 48 on another guy. I think if the market says 55, Trevor's a 24-year-old quarterback, and you're saying he's my guy for the future like Burrow and Herbert and the others, you're paying that price.
Okay, but let me ask you this. If you're Trevor Lawrence's agent, though, what are you tying, what are you saying? Like, are you saying like, hey, he's going to be the future? Because like the stats say, okay, the stats are okay.
Yeah, the turnovers are a problem.
The turnovers are definitely an issue. So like, if you're campaigning right now, you're the agent for Trevor Lawrence, what are the factors that you're showing that says, hey, my guy deserves top dollar money right now?
Okay, so I give you probably three things.
Okay.
One, you tried to screw this kid up right from the jump, and he was the face of your franchise that whole year. He was the only guy that kept this thing floating that whole year, and you tried to mess him up, and he came out on the other side of it. And he had an unbelievable year to get you to the playoffs down the stretch. And then you couldn't protect him. You said you could. You thought you were good there, and you couldn't protect him. We started saying in week 2 or 3, if this keeps up, he's going to get hurt. And guess what? He got hurt multiple times and played hurt. And the other thing is, I'm going to show you a 2-minute video. Here's my evidence. 2-minute video that was on Twitter like 3 weeks ago. And there's like 75 points on the board if the guys just catch the damn ball. Catch the damn ball. Help them out.
Yeah.
So if I'm his team, that's what I'm saying. You want to lose this? We got this. You just got to do a little better job around him. And by the way, we'll acknowledge Trevor's got to take care of the football. But if some of this stuff is better at 24 years old, he'll clean that up. He'll clean that up, no problem. I think they've got a pretty good case. I really do. And I've always said this. I think Shad Khan wants to pay him. Like, I really do. I think Shad Khan, if there was, listen, you wanted to pay Calais. I think they want to pay Josh. There were guys in the organization, like, you want to pay. You know it's the cost of doing business, and you want them to be a part of it. But Trevor, based on, I think, Shad, what I see, what it looks like to me, Shad, admiration almost for a young man and what he's done for this organization already in short order, even if all the wins and touchdowns and everything else haven't been there. I think that connects with Shad. Again, blank checkbook, maybe not, but I don't think it's like, hey, we need to get you on a deal. And the other part of this, and this is the most important part to me, this is an organization that has had guys leave and want to leave. And Jalen Ramsey, the best, the most talented player that has ever worn a Jags uniform, in my opinion, is Jalen Ramsey. And he walked out the door because you didn't handle things right. The relationship part of this is really important. Doesn't mean you give the keys to the Kismet, but the relationship part is really important. And I think they know that. I think they know that. And then I heard a Trent Baalke conversation about Josh Allen. They said they haven't even reached out, but they're going to have him back. So now I don't really know.
Yeah.
But the relationship part of this is really a big deal, in my opinion, especially with Trevor. And I think there's good communication with Shad and Trevor over the years, which I do like.
I mean, to me, it comes down to the cornerstones, right? If you look at any successful NFL franchise, they've re-signed their cornerstones. Now, Josh Allen, cornerstone, needs to be re-signed, right? He's gonna command top dollar money now because, hey, the stats say so. But you got to re-sign Josh Allen and you got to re-sign Trevor Lawrence because you can't win championships. You can't have a successful organization if you keep letting your best players that you drafted, that you homegrown, slip through your hands. And we've seen it one too many times, I feel like, in this organization. And now it's time to make things right. And yes, I think you re-sign, obviously, Josh Allen first, and then you can work out someone with Trevor Lawrence. So be it.